We are paid, that's all. We are God.
Hey guys, this is Naruto and Percy Jackson crossover. The part 6 of What If Naruto Was a Demigod. Naruto finds out a secert that blows him away. He's a half-blood. With his new friends he make a new name for himself and find what he truly ever wanted. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 18, The Predator Returns to LA. It was Annabeth's idea. She loaded the group into the back of a Vegas taxi as if they actually had money, and told the driver, Los Angeles, please. The cabbie chewed his cigar and sized them up. That's 300 miles. For that, you gotta pay up front. You accept casino debit cards? Annabeth asked. He shrugged. Some of them. Same as credit cards. I gotta swipe them through first. Annabeth handed him her green Lotus cash card. He looked at it skeptically. Swipe it, Annabeth invited. He did. His meter machine started rattling. The lights flashed. Finally an infinity symbol came up next to the dollar sign. Well, Naruto said, I think that will get us there. The cigar fell out of the driver's mouth. He looked back at us, his eyes wide. Where to in Los Angeles, Your Highness? The Santa Monica Pier. Annabeth sat up a little straighter. Percy and the others could tell that Annabeth was enjoying the Your Highness thing a lot. Get us there fast, and you can keep the change. The driver took those words to heart because his speedometer never dipped below 95 the whole way through the Mojave Desert. On the way there, Percy began to tell them about his recent dream. Percy told them as much as he could remember, but it was the name the servant used that really bugs Annabeth, though all he got was part of it. The silent one? Annabeth suggested. The rich one? Both of those are nicknames for Hades. Maybe. Percy said, but he felt that the name was wrong. That throne room sounds like Hades's, Grover said. That's the way it's usually described. Something's wrong. The throne room wasn't the main part of the dream. And that voice from the pit? I don't know. It just didn't feel like a god's voice. Said Percy. Annabeth's eyes widened while Naruto shrugged. Who knows what it is? We just know it is evil. No, it has to be Hades. Annabeth demanded, maybe he sent this thief, this invisible person, to get the Master Bolt, and something went wrong. Yeah, you are so set on it being Hades when we are starting to see that it might not be him. I got a feeling that there might be more than it meets the eyes. Naruto said. Annabeth did not answer Naruto but went on, I do not understand fully, but if he stole Zeus's symbol of power from Olympus, and the gods were hunting him, I mean, a lot of things could go wrong. So this thief had to hide the bolt, or he lost it somehow. Anyway, he failed to bring it to Hades. That's what the voice said in your dreams, right? The guy failed. That would explain what the Furies were searching for when they came after us on the bus. Maybe they thought we had retrieved the bolt. But if we would have already retrieved the bolt, Percy said, why would we be traveling to the underworld? To threaten Hades, Grover suggested. To bribe or blackmail him into getting your mom back. You have evil thoughts for a goat. Percy said with a deadpan look. Why, thank you. Naruto face-palmed, not what he mean dude, and I thought you were a hippie. The thing in the pit also said it was waiting for 2 items, Percy said. If the Master Bolt is one, what's the other? The other shrugged. Maybe that was what the Furies were after. Naruto said. When they were asking where was it? One god thinks you stole one object, maybe he thinks he stole another. You have an idea what might be in that pit, don't you? Percy asked Annabeth, but for some reason, he could tell she did not want him ask it. I mean, if it isn't Hades. Percy, let's not talk about it. Because if it isn't Hades. No. It has to be Hades. She replied. Just 'cause you wish it to be, does not mean that it is. Naruto said with a far-off look in his eyes. Wasteland rolled by as well as a sign that said California State Line, 12 miles. Along the way, Percy stared out the window thinking about the quest while Naruto had his eyes shut tight, thinking. The answer is in the underworld, Annabeth assured them. You saw spirits of the dead. There's only one place that could be. We're doing the right thing. She tried to boost the morale by suggesting clever strategies for getting into the land of the dead, but Percy seemed disheartened by it. There were just too many unknown factors. It was like cramming for a test without knowing the subject. The cab sped west. Every gust of wind through Death Valley sounded like a spirit of the dead. Every time the brakes hissed on an 18-wheeler, it reminded the boys of Echidna's reptilian voice. At sunset, the taxi dropped us at the beach in Santa Monica. It looked exactly the way LA beaches do in the movies, only it smelled worse. There were carnival rides lining the pier, palm trees lining the sidewalks, homeless guys sleeping in the sand dunes, and surfer dudes waiting for the perfect wave. As they walked down to the edge of the surf, Annabeth asked, "What now?" "Why are you asking me?" Naruto asked before he notices Percy heading toward the water. "I think he might have a better clue than us." "Percy?" Annabeth said. "What are you doing?" He was neck deep when the she called out again. "You know how polluted that water is. There are all kinds of toxic," though he just ignored her as he went under. "Ah, Annabeth, you do remember that he is the son of the sea god, right? I think water and the sea don't affect him like it would us." Naruto said with a smirk. She face went red but said nothing. Naruto smirked seeing as she knew he was right and her pride would never tell him that. She then looked at him. "I am glad you guys were able to let me on this quest. Everything just seems so crazy. I'm happy to call all of you my friends. So yeah, I am glad you became our friend, especially Percy's." Naruto said. "We are all together, a team. You have the brains, Grover the cheerleader, Percy the brainless muscle, and I'm the best there is." His friends laughed, knowing he was joking but glad either way. Naruto looked out and saw as Percy emerged from the water, already dry. "So care to share with the rest of the class?" Percy tripped a bit at that before he told them about the Nereid and her words and gifts. He even showed them the 4 pearls. Annabeth grimaced. "No gift comes without a price. They were free." "No." She shook her head. "There is no such thing as a free lunch. That's an ancient Greek saying that translated pretty well into American. There will be a price. You wait." Naruto rolled his eyes. "Well, now the cheerful moment is over, let's get going. The land of the dead waits for no man." "You mean time, Naruto," Annabeth said. "No, I mean what I said, Annabeth," Naruto said with another eye roll. "Gods, I thought you were the smart one." They turned their backs to the sea as made their way to another cab. Percy, for some reason, decided to use the spare change from the Ares pack. Naruto could not understand why he was not using that and not the Lotus cards they got. They showed the address that Percy got from Auntie M's place, but the driver had never heard of the place called DOA Recording Studios. While looked from his rear-view mirror, the driver asked Percy, "Hey, you remind me of somebody I saw on TV, you a child actor or something?" Naruto looked at his friend prepared to make something up when Percy made a good cover-up. I'm a stunt double, for a lot of child actors." "Oh. That explains it," the driver said, while Naruto shook his head. "Some of the thing people believe. I think it is best we get off here," Annabeth stated as they pulled to a stop at a stoplight. They wandered for miles on foot, looking for DOA. Nobody seemed to know where it was. It didn't appear in the phone book. Along the way, they had to duck in the alleys so the cops wouldn't find them. Besides, with their rep right now, they could not afford to get caught with their quest just about over. As they walked, Naruto noticed that Percy had froze in front of an appliance store. He stopped to when he saw it. Curious, Annabeth and Grover backtracked to watch as well. A television was playing an interview with somebody who looked very familiar, Percy's stepdad, Smelly Gabe. He was talking to Barbara Walters, as if he were some kind of huge celebrity. She was interviewing him in his apartment, in the middle of a poker game, and there was a young blonde lady sitting next to him, patting his hand. A fake tear glistened on his cheek. He was saying, "Honest, Ms. Walters, if it wasn't for Sugar here, my grief counselor, I'd be a wreck. My stepson took everything I cared about. My wife, my Camaro. I'm sorry. I have trouble talking about it. There you have it, America." Barbara Walters turned to the camera. A man torn apart. An adolescent boy with serious issues. Let me show you, again, the last known photo of this troubled young fugitive, taken a week ago in Denver. The screen cut to a grimy photo of the four of them, standing outside the Colorado diner, talking to Aries. Who are the other children in this photo? Barbara Walters asked dramatically. Who is the man with them? Is Percy Jackson a delinquent, a terrorist, or perhaps the brainwashed victim of a frightening new cult? When we come back, we chat with a leading child psychologist. Stay tuned, America. Okay, that guy made my list, Naruto said with a twitchy eye. Percy and Grover knew that Gabe was now in for it and they could think of a better guy. They moved on. It got dark, and hungry-looking characters started coming out on the streets to play. Now normally they wouldn't have to worry because Percy was a New Yorker and he was used to this stuff and Naruto was a ninja who dealt with things tougher than this. Of course, LA had a totally different feel from New York. Naruto, having lived in New York for some time now, knew how to get around the city without getting lost, no matter where he was. The same could be said for Percy, but they were in a new city, and were having a hell of a time getting around. In New York, the street patterns and the subway made sense. There was a system to how things worked. A kid could be safe as long as he wasn't stupid. But is LA? It was a chaotic mess and everything was spread out. It wasn't enough for LA to be big, it had to prove it was big by being loud and strange and difficult to navigate, too. They walked past gangbangers, bums, and street hawkers, who looked at them like they were trying to figure if the four of them were worth the trouble of mugging. Naruto did not want to deal with them so he made a shadow clone and made it transform. He was now twice as tall as a normal man and 3 times as wide. He had a hard face, a strong chin with his long hair in a Chinese ponytail and thick muscles with dark dragon tattoos wrapped around it. If Percy did not know he was a shadow clone, he would not want to mess with him. It seemed to work, just the one looking at them paled and turned red away, not wanting to deal with a strong-looking guy like that. Though it only worked on only one set of enemies however, for as soon as they passed an ally, they heard, "Hey, you." They stopped, but they should not have, because a group of thug-looking kids appeared from the ally and surrounded them. There were 6 of them in all, white kids with expensive clothes and mean faces. Like the kids at Yancey Academy, rich brats playing at being bad boys. Without thinking much about it, Percy brought out Riptide. The sword appearing out of nowhere, made a lot of the group back off, but the leader, being stupid or brave, Naruto did not know, walked up to them with a switchblade ready. Naruto widened his eyes when Percy swung his sword, but was shocked that it just passed through the kid. Said kid flinched instinctively before he figured out what happened. In that time, Percy finally got smart and yelled for his friends to run. Grover and Annabeth pushed 2 of the kids away before they got to Percy. Naruto got in front and got one of his blades out. The leader that Percy tried to cut smirked, thinking it was like the last one, and tried to stab Naruto. Naruto thought he was going slow before he grabbed the wrist and jerked it, caused the guy to drop the knife. Naruto placed the blade at the man's throat, who stiffed feeling the cold blade. You messed with the wrong guy, pale. So unless you wish to see how much you can bleed, I suggest you leave us alone. He then pushed the leader away and walked out, the other members all scared. The problem now was that while he was covering Percy, Annabeth, and Grover, he lost them. He started to look for them. Damn it, they could not have gotten far. Naruto thought after a few minutes' search. It was then did he notice that 3 figures were following him. He narrowed his eyes before he ducked into an alleyway. The 3 monsters followed him. They saw him just kneeling under a light over a side door. The girls smirked at Naruto. They were very beautiful women wearing very revealing clothing. Naruto could hear a soft click of metal on pavement as they walked closer. How nice girls, the little hero waiting for use. One of the women said before she stepped closer to Naruto. How about a kiss, honey? They then heard what seemed like a mix of a growl and clicking. The 3 girls looked around and one spotted something up high that she could not see. Sisters, remember that movie we saw with those boys before she drank from them? Yeah, the first sister answered. Wonder what the point was. I think that the monster is back. She replied, and she sounded fearful. The last one shivered. Don't say that. Now that thing was a monster. The first sister snorted, please, that is just some made-up monster mortals made up. The predator is not real. No sooner did she say this did a small fireball shot down and hit the sister that thought it was back. Her chest exploded and she turned to dust. The other two looked up just as something jumped from the fire escape to the shadows. They did not get a good look, but the last sister shivered in fear and started to back away. It is real, the predator is hunting in LA again. Get a grip, sister. It is not real. Mortal says that about us and the other monster. Who is to say that this is not real either? The last sister said before she grunted as two curved bronze blades were sticking out of her back through her chest and lifted slightly in the air, so that she was not touching the ground. The last sister screamed in fury before she changed into her true form, a woman with flaming hair, white skin, red eyes, fangs, and one prosthetic bronze leg and one donkey leg. It is the half-blood. This other one is the bait and a fake. She then charged as her sister turned to dusk and grabbed Naruto by the throat. She crushes his windpipe to kill his slowly so it would be painful, and she drank from him while he was alive. But to her shock, Naruto poof into smoke. She was so stunned before another blade stabbed into her back, right at her heart. You was half right, Naruto said behind her. I was the bait, but sometimes they don't see the hunter as bait, which makes him more deadly. The monster turned to dust and Naruto noticed that 3 fake bronze legs lay on the ground. He grabbed them and sealed them in a scroll. Naruto smirked, glad that it worked. He also seen the Predator 2 movie and wanted to try some of that stuff out. He used an arrow with an exploding tag already lit to act as the fireball that killed the first one. And his clones did the rest. I have to remember to tell this to the others back at camp. Naruto went to look for them again and thought they went inside. The only open store on the block looked open, its windows glaring with neon. The sign above the door said something like Christui's Water BDE Alpus. Naruto entered the store to see a strange sight. Percy just chopped off the head of a monster. He guessed it was as it turned to dust like a monster, and Grover and Annabeth strapped to a bed. Am I missing something? He asked as Annabeth and Grover were freed from the beds. If you guys wanted to try bondage, then I am sure there are better places and time to do. Shut up, Naruto, Annabeth said with a small blush on her face. You look taller, Percy said, looking at them. Very funny, Annabeth said. Be faster next time. Naruto was still confused till Grover told him what happened. Naruto laughed as he heard how Percy tricked Krusty. Ha, ha, oh man, I wish I could have seen that. It was not funny. I was being stretched and vibrated to death. Grover said, which made Naruto laugh harder. Percy looked at the bulletin board behind Krusty's sales desk, ignoring their complaining at the moment. There was an advertisement for Hermes delivery service, and another for the all-new compendium of LA area monsters, the only monstrous yellow pages you'll ever need. Under that, a bright orange flyer for DOA Recording Studios, offering commissions for heroes' souls. We are always looking for new talent. DOA's address was right underneath with a map. Come on, Percy said as he walked to the door, Naruto following him quickly as he was ready to get the hell of this store. Give us a minute, Grover complained. We were almost stretched to death. Then you're ready for the underworld, Percy said. It's only a block from here. Naruto smirked. Watch out, Hades, you got some live ones coming. Oh, make Artemis's trick. Artemis sat down at her table she was sharing with Athena. Wonder how their children were doing. Athena noticed Artemis had a brown leather book at her side. The Aphrodite made her appearance and Athena swore she saw Artemis smirked for a few seconds. Okay, I mean I am not going away till I get details I want. She declared. She was so determined that even that horrid dish Artemis keeps eating. She did not see Artemis wink at Athena before she signed. Very well. Aphrodite blinked, unable to believe how easy that was. Artemis picked up the book. I figured you would never leave me alone, and instead of several hundred years of you brothering me, I wrote everything down about my time with my love. Aphrodite had a huge grin on her face, but before she could grab the book, Artemis held it out of her reach. You think I will give to you for free? No, I want you to make a promise to me. Aphrodite frowned. What kind of promise? I want you to swear on the river Styx that you will never mess with my son's love life. Artemis said with a fire in her eyes. Aphrodite felt like slapping her forehead. So was so focused on Artemis's love life she completely forgot about her son. She thought about it. Her son would be so much fun to do, but she really wanted that information. Seeing as she would most likely never get a chance like this again, she was about to before she frowned. How do I know that you are not lying, or if that is not the information I want? Artemis raised a brow before she said, I swear on the river Styx that everything I wrote in this is true from my point of view. Thunder was heard and Aphrodite smiled even wider than before. I swear I will not interfere with Naruto Uzumaki's love life. Should he fall in love with will be on his own and without doing. After thunder was heard again, Artemis tossed the book to Aphrodite. She squealed and ran so she would not be bothered by anyone as she read it. After she left, Artemis noticed Athena's look. What? I am surprised you gave in so easily. I commend you for helping your son from her, but you worked hard to keep that information to yourself. Artemis smirked. I swore that everything in there I believe is true. She did not notice I never said anything about what was in it. Aphrodite went into her temple and her room before she jumped on her bed. She opens the book and started on a random page. She was at it today. She thinks love is everything, but all her love, as she calls it, is just lust and does nothing but break hearts for fun. How many people were hurt because of her? How many lost their lives? Aphrodite blinked, confused, before she went to a different page. She thinks everyone will just do as she says, but she is just an overly thin model with obvious enhancements and overdone slutty clothing that didn't work at all. Aphrodite frowned before she turned the page. I seen some of her children, and even though I have nothing against them, I do wish they think for themselves instead of what their mothers wants. They do not believe in love as they call it, but lust like her, and will just be seen in some girls that can't be trusted and break their hearts. Aphrodite growled before she started to rip the book up before she screams in anger. It was heard all the way to Artemis, who just smirked at this. Chapter 19, Land of the Dead. Heck boy, ain't it grand. They stood in the shadows of Valencia Boulevard, looking up at gold letters etched in black marble, DOA Recording Studios. Underneath, stenciled on the glass doors, NO Solicitors. No loitering. No living. Best way to hide it, make in plain sight. Naruto mused as they looked at it. It was almost midnight, but the lobby was brightly lit and full of people. Behind the security desk sat a tough-looking guard with sunglasses and an earpiece. Percy turned to the others and stated, "Okay. You remember Naruto's plan?" "The plan?" Grover gulped. "Yeah. I love the plan." Annabeth said, "What happens if the plan doesn't work?" "Don't think negative." "Right," she said. "We're entering the land of the dead, and I shouldn't think negative." Naruto snorted, "Hey, could be worst, we could be using Percy's plan." Percy glared at them as Grover and Annabeth nodded. "Hey. My plan was fine." Naruto gave him a deadpan look. "Dude, you wanted to say we died in a bath tube, together, at the same time. I know there are no bath houses here or at camp, so that may give some mixed message for some of us. Like why you would take a bath with 2 guys next to you, or why Annabeth is with 3 guys. Annabeth and Percy blushed at that while Grover thought about it. Shut up. Percy said. "Well, let's get this over with," Annabeth said, nudging Grover. "Oh, right." He chimed in. "We got this far. We'll find the master bolt and save your mom." "No problem." Percy looked to his friends and smiled, "Thanks guys." He felt eternally grateful to them. "Let's kick some underworld butt." "Well, we won't be getting there just standing around," Naruto said, before he pushed open the door and they entered the DOA lobby. Music played softly on hidden speakers. The carpet and walls were steel gray. Pencil cactuses grew in the corners like skeleton hands. The furniture was black leather, and every seat was taken. There were people sitting on couches, people standing up, people staring out the windows or waiting for the elevator. Nobody moved, or talked, or did much of anything. If you looked at them directly, you would see that they were transparent. Naruto felt nervous as see the many ghosts around the place. But with the help of his friends he made it to the desk. The security guard's desk was a raised podium, so they had to look up at him. He was tall and elegant, with chocolate-colored skin and bleached blonde hair shaved military style. He wore tortoiseshell shades and a silk Italian suit that matched his hair. A black rose was pinned to his lapel under a silver name tag. Percy eyed the name tag in bewilderment, and before Naruto could stop him, he spoke. "Your name is Chiron." He leaned across the desk. Percy couldn't see anything in his glasses except his own reflection, but his smile was sweet and cold, like a python's, right before it eats you. What a precious young lad. He had a strange accent, British, maybe, but also as if he had learned English as a second language. "Tell me, mate, do I look like a centaur?" "And no. Sir," he added smoothly. "Sir," Percy said. He pinched the name tag and ran his finger under the letters. "Can you read this, mate?" "It says Chiron, say it with me, Charon. Sharon. Amazing. Now, Mr. Sharon. Mr. Sharon, Percy repeated. Well done. He sat back. I hate being confused with that old horseman. And now, how may I help you little dead ones? We want to go the underworld, Annabeth stated after Percy looked to her for help. Karen's mouth twitched. Well, that's refreshing. It is? She asked. Straightforward and honest. No screaming. No, there must be a mistake, Mr. Sharon. Naruto shrugged. Well, after what we were just through, I am pretty sure we did not survive. So why fight it and get it over with? Sharon shrugged as if he did not care before he looked them over. How did you die, then? All four of them were all dirty and covered in soot. Their hair was all messed up, and he could have sworn that a few embers were burning at the ends of Grover's messed up hair. Naruto leaned against the desk with a wide grin. Oh, you should have seen it. We were pulling the ultimate prank. You see, we were going to start with a whoopee cushion under the camp's director's chair. After it goes off, a bunch of fireworks and explosion would go off as if he caused them by the fart. Sharon chuckled. Picture it. So how did it go? Naruto then had a sour look. Well, these two idiots messed up. He pointed at Percy and Grover and also ignored their shouts of, hey, in defense. Grover here was look out, and he ran in about to wet himself and bump into Percy and cause me it blow the whole thing up in our face. It was a blast. He then had a blank look, expect for the whole dying part. He added as if an afterthought. Sharon looked mildly impressed. Shame you guys did not do it. It seemed like it would be a funny scene. Why did we have to let Naruto handle the fire? Power is beyond me. Annabeth said. Naruto looked at them. Yeah, I am surprised you guys let me too. I'm not allowed near open flames, or anything that can quickly produce them, something my psychologist said about me being a pyro something or another. His friends looked at him while Sharon chuckled. As much fun as this is, I don't suppose you have coins for passage. Normally, with adults, you see, I could charge your American Express, or add the ferry price to your last cable bill. But with children, alas, you never die prepared. Suppose you'll have to take a seat for a few centuries. Oh, but we have coins. Percy interjected as put down some gold drachmas on the deck that they had received from Krusty. Well, now. Sharon moistened his lips. Real drachmas. Real golden drachmas. I haven't seen these in. His fingers hovered greedily over the coins. Then Sharon looked at Percy and then a bit at Naruto. That cold stare behind his glasses seemed to bore a hole through Percy's chest. Here now, he said. You couldn't read my name correctly. Are you dyslexic, lad? No, Percy said quickly. I'm dead. Sharon leaned forward and took a sniff. You're not dead. I should have known. You're a godling. Duh. Naruto said, we are from Camp Half-Blood. Who else but a half-blood would try something as crazy as that? Sharon could not help but agree with that logic, but shook it out of his head as he was sure they were not dead. He made a growling sound deep in his throat. Immediately, all the people in the waiting room got up and started pacing, agitated, lighting cigarettes, running hands through their hair, or checking their wristwatches. I must admit you put up quite the act, but leave while you can, Sharon told them. I'll just take these and forget I saw you. Sharon reached for the coins, but Percy scooped them up. We have to get to the underworld, Percy insisted. No services, no pay. Sharon growled again, a deep, blood-chilling sound. The spirits of the dead started pounding on the elevator doors. It's a shame, too, Percy sighed, we had more to offer. Percy lifted up the whole bag of coins, before he took some out and let them slip through his fingers. Karen's growl changed into something more like a lion's purr. Do you think I can be bought, godlings? Just out of curiosity, how much have you got there? Naruto smirked as he pulled a coin and moved his finger so the coin flipped and followed them before he flicked his pinky and the coin was back into his thumb where he started all over again. Oh, a bit that you seem to want, we do not need it, and I am sure the boss man does not pay you a whole lot if you are eyeing more. Oh, you don't know the half of it. Sharon said in an aspirated tone. How would you like to babysit these spirits all day? Always, please don't let me be dead, or, please let me across for free. I haven't had a pay raise in 3,000 years. Do you imagine suits like this come cheap? You deserve better, Percy agreed. A little appreciation. Respect. Good pay. With each word he put a gold coin on the man's desk. Sharon glanced down at his silk Italian jacket, as if imagining himself in something even better. He eyed the coin that Naruto was still moving around his hand. I must say, lads, you're making some sense now. Just a little, you know. If we talk to the boss man, I bet we could get you that raise you so dearly want. Naruto smirked as Percy put a few more coins down. Sharon sighed. The boat's almost full, anyway. I might as well add you 4 and be off. They pushed through the crowd of waiting spirits, who started grabbing at our clothes like the wind, their voices whispering things the 4 couldn't make out. Sharon shoved them out of the way, grumbling, freeloaders. He escorted them into the elevator, which was already crowded with souls of the dead, each one holding a green boarding pass. Sharon grabbed 2 spirits who were trying to get on with the group and pushed them back into the lobby. Right. Now, no one get any ideas while I'm gone, he announced to the waiting room. And if anyone moves the dial off my easy listening station again, I'll make sure you're here for another 1,000 years. Understand? He shut the doors. He put a key card into a slot in the elevator panel and they started to descend. What happens to the spirits waiting in the lobby? Annabeth asked. Nothing, Sharon said. For how long? Forever, or until I'm feeling generous. Oh, she said. That's fair. You need a new definition of fair. Naruto grumbled under his breath. Sharon raised an eyebrow. Whoever said death was fair, young miss? Wait until it's your turn. You'll die soon enough, where you're going. We'll get out alive, Percy said. After that, the elevator stopped going down and that made their stomachs roll a bit as they instead moved forward. Then the spirit's modern clothes turned to that of grey hooded robes. Naruto gained a bored look after that as he saw Sharon change form as well. Karen's creamy Italian suit had been replaced by a long black robe. His tortoiseshell glasses were gone. Where his eyes should have been were empty sockets, like Ares's eyes, except Karen's were totally dark, full of night and death and despair. The man noticed Percy staring. Well, nothing. Percy managed to say before he noticed the elevator was now swaying as it was now a boat of sorts. I think I am getting seasick. Grover complained. Try not to throw up in the river Styx. Who knows what might happen? Smirked Naruto as Grover paled a bit. The river Styx was a bit different than any of them expected. It was a dark, oily river, swirling with bones, dead fish, and other, stranger things, plastic dolls, crushed carnations, soggy diplomas with gilt edges. The river Styx, Annabeth murmured. It's so polluted, Sharon said. For thousands of years, you humans have been throwing in everything as you come across, hopes, dreams, wishes that never came true. Irresponsible waste management, if you ask me. Mist curled off the filthy water. Above them, almost lost in the gloom, was a ceiling of stalactites. Ahead, the far shore glimmered with greenish light, the color of poison. Naruto noticed that Percy's eyes widened in a moment of pure panic and he could tell what the boy was thinking. He, however, smiled when a nervous Annabeth grabbed the water boy's hand and that seemed to calm the two of them down. He looked to Grover and noticed the goat boy was silently freaking out. Naruto sighed at that, but luck, like usual, was on his side. A guitar was in the river and was sticking out. He grabbed it and pulled it out of the river and found that it was still intact. He plucked at the strings and it sounded good, just needed a bit of tuning. After he did that he played a few notes before he smirked. Looking again to the shore, he noticed that we're a long way off. Well, no time like the present to relieve some boredom. He said as he got a few looks from the others. What do you mean? Grover shuddered. Naruto smirked, oh, something to lighten the mood. Sharon just shrugged, seeing as it wasn't going to hurt anything and it could kill the boredom for him. Naruto started to play a fast tune for a few minutes before he started to song. A minotaur's my butler, a cyclops my valet, a centaur draws my chariot that takes me down the way, through a river made of fire to a street that's paved with bones. I got a dozen zombie skeletons to walk me to my throne. In the land of the dead, heck boy ain't it grand. I'm the overlord of the underworld, 'cause I hold horror's hand. In the land of the dead, I'm darkside royalty. I'm far Reno wed in the underground and you can't take that from me. Sharon smirked at this and even hummed to the tone Naruto was playing. His friends were shocked at how calm he seemed to be while playing a song like that. Even the dead that were riding with them were moving slightly to the beat and sang along after Naruto as he did the next part of the song. Whoa! 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 Sharon however found that part annoying, so he used the pole he was using to move the boat and knocked one of the dead in the head. As they were so close, one knocked into the other, causing them to knock head one by one like dominoes. OW. Ow! 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 Naruto frowned at Karen's action before he started again. Cerberus, my lap dog is loyal as can be. My bed is made of skulls, I'm in the lap of luxury. I got a dragon blood jacuzzi, the Gorgons think it's cool. And a 7-head hydra livin' in my swinin' pool. In the land of the dead, heck boy ain't it grand. I'm the overlord of the underworld, 'cause I hold horror's hand. Naruto start to play a little faster as he hit the final verse. In the land of the dead, I'm dark side royalty. I'm far Reno wed in the underground and you can't take that from me. No, you can't take that from me. Naruto ended the song before he threw the guitar back into the river. So how was that? Naruto asked as they got closer to shore. Sharon gave a SOSO gesture before he said, if you were a son of Hades then I think it would be better. Naruto rolled his eyes, everyone a critic, he muttered. Grover rolled his eyes, you are crazy Naruto. I prefer unpredictable. Naruto answered. Annabeth huffed as she did not believe that anyone can be unpredictable. Then they finally reached land. Looking around as they got to land, they saw craggy rocks and black volcanic sand stretched inland about 100 yards to the base of a high stone wall, which marched off in either direction as far as we could see. A sound came from somewhere nearby in the green gloom, echoing off the stones, the howl of a large animal. Old Three-Face is hungry, Sharon said. His smile turned skeletal in the greenish light. Bad luck for you, godlings. The bottom of our boat slid onto the black sand. The dead began to disembark. A woman holding a little girl's hand. An old man and an old woman hobbling along arm in arm. A boy no older than Percy was, shuffling silently along in his gray robe. Sharon said, I'd wish you luck, mate, but there isn't any down here. Mind you, don't forget to mention my pay raise. He counted the golden coins into his pouch, then took up his pole. He hummed the song Naruto played as he ferried the empty barge back across the river. As they tracked along the beaten path with the other dead people, they wondered what was in store for them. They wonder what the true entrance would be like. The pearly gates or a big black portcullis or something like that. But the entrance to the underworld looked like a cross between airport security and the Jersey Turnpike. There were 3 separate entrances under one huge black archway that said you are now entering Erebus. Each entrance had a pass-through metal detector with security cameras mounted on top. Beyond this were tollbooths manned by black-robed ghouls like Sharon. The howling of the hungry animal was really loud now, but they couldn't see where it was coming from. The 3-headed dog, Cerberus, who was supposed to guard Hades's door, was nowhere to be seen. The dead queued up in the 3 lines, 2 marked attendant on duty, and 1 marked easy death. The easy death line was moving right along. The other 2 were crawling. Right. Percy replied before asking Annabeth, so which path do you think? The fast line must go straight to the asphodel fields, she said. No contest. They don't want to risk judgment from the court, because it might go against them. There's a court for dead people? Asked a surprised Percy. Yeah. 3 judges. They switch around who sits on the bench. King Minos, Thomas Jefferson, Shakespeare, people like that. Sometimes they look at a life and decide that person needs a special reward, the fields of Elysium. Sometimes they decide on punishment. But most people, well, they just lived. Nothing special, good or bad. So they go to the asphodel fields. And do what? Grover said, imagine standing in a wheat field in Kansas. Forever. Harsh, Percy said. More like boring. Naruto muttered. But not as harsh as that, Grover muttered. Look. A couple of black-robed ghouls had pulled aside one spirit and were frisking him at the security desk. The face of the dead man looked vaguely familiar. He's that preacher who made the news, remember? Grover asked. Oh, yeah. Percy did remember now. They had seen him on TV a couple of times at the Yancey Academy dorm. He was this annoying televangelist from upstate New York who'd raised millions of dollars for orphanages and then got caught spending the money on stuff for his mansion, like gold-plated toilet seats and an indoor putt-putt golf course. He died in a police chase when his Lamborghini for the Lord went off a cliff. Naruto glared at the spirit. He was reminded too much of Gato. What are they doing to him? Percy asked. Special punishment from Hades, Grover guessed. The really bad people get his personal attention as soon as they arrive. The kindly ones will set up an eternal torture for him. Percy shivered a bit and then sweat dropped when Naruto snorted. I could make him pay in a way that would be better than what they could come up with. Right. Percy comment. But if the guy was a preacher, and he believes in a different hell, Grover shrugged. Who says he's seeing this place the way we're seeing it? Humans see what they want to see. You're very stubborn, persistent, that way. As they made their way closer the kiosks, the howling kept getting louder and louder. The howling was so loud now it shook the ground but they could not figure out where it was coming from. Then, about 50 feet in front of them, the green mist shimmered. Standing just where the path split into 3 lanes was an enormous shadowy monster. They could not see it at first because of the transparency, but it had moved and that brought out what it looked like. By that time however, their jaws were on the floor. He's a Rottweiler. Percy said. Naruto tilted his head to the side a little. I always pictured him as a Doberman for some reason. The dog was obviously a purebred Rottweiler, except of course that he was twice the size of a woolly mammoth, mostly invisible, and had 3 heads. The dead walked right up to him, no fear at all. The attendant on duty lines parted on either side of him. The easy death spirits walked right between his front paws and under his belly, which they could do without even crouching. I'm starting to see him better, Percy muttered. Why is that? I think. Annabeth moistened her lips. I'm afraid it's because we're getting closer to being dead. Not what we are going for. Let's keep moving. Naruto commented. The dog's middle head craned toward the 4. It sniffed the air and growled. As they moved closer to the giant 3-headed dog, the middle head lowered down to them before sniffing and the barking loudly. Then Naruto heard a voice say, I smell live ones. Another voice said, you know that means. Meat, said a final voice. Naruto was staring shock. Did he just hear what they said? Can you understand it? Percy asked Grover. Oh yeah, he said. I can understand it. Naruto nodded as well to their shock. Really, Naruto? Annabeth asked. Yeah, I can. Naruto answered. It is different from before, it is not just an intent but hearing the words to the barks. Annabeth thought quickly, seeing as a big killer dog was growling at them, and gasped. Persephone, seeing their looks she added, he is related to Persephone. And while she is goddess of springtime she is also the queen of the underworld. Add the understanding animal's intent from Artemis mean he can understand Cerberus. Lucky me, muttered Naruto. So what's it saying? Percy asked. I don't think humans have a 4-letter word that translates, exactly. It's meat, Grover. Naruto deadpanned. Just because you are a hippie does not mean no one else knows that word. Hey, big fella, Percy called out as he took a stick out of his pack, which was a part of the bedpost from Krusty's place. I bet they don't play with you much. What does he have? Looks like a stick. I like sticks. Good boy, Percy said weakly. The dog's middle head watched as Percy swung the thing around, the other 2 heads looking down at the boy. It attention on him and not the dead. You have his attention perk, Naruto said. Though I do not know if that is a good thing. Fetch. Percy threw the stick into the gloom, a good solid throw. They heard it go kersplush in the river Styx. Oh. He did not just do that. One head growled out. Styac, another head whined. Naruto slapped his forehead while Cerberus glared, unimpressed. His eyes were baleful and cold. No more plans for you, Perk. Cerberus was now making a new kind of growl, deeper down in his 3 throats. You have 10 seconds to pray to the god of your choice before you become our new chew toys. Forget chew toy, I'm hungry. Eat the other 3, I want the fuzzy one. He looks chewy. Grover said, paling slightly. Percy. Yeah. I just thought you'd want to know. Yeah, Cerberus. He's saying we've got 10 seconds to pray to the god of our choice. After that, well, he's hungry. Wait. Annabeth said. She started rifling through her pack. Uh-oh, Percy thought. 5 seconds until chew time. 5 seconds, Grover said. Do we run now? Hell no. We have not come this far to run now, declared Naruto as he got ready for a fight. Annabeth produced a red rubber ball the size of a grapefruit. It was labeled Waterland, Denver, Colorado. Before they could stop her, she raised the ball and marched straight up to Cerberus. What she got? A ball. I like balls. She shouted, see the ball? You want the ball, Cerberus? Sit. Cerberus looked as stunned as the boys were. All 3 of his heads cocked sideways. 6 nostrils dilated. Oh, I want the ball. One head said. What did she say? Sit, I think. Why? Sit. Annabeth called again. Cerberus licked his 3 sets of lips. Sit, equals, ball. Sit. All 3 heads shouted before he shifted on his haunches, and sat, immediately crushing a dozen spirits who'd been passing underneath him in the easy death line. The spirits made muffled hisses as they dissipated, like the air let out of tires. Naruto winced at that. Annabeth said, good boy. She threw Cerberus the ball. He caught it in his middle mouth. It was barely big enough for him to chew, and the other head started snapping at the middle, trying to get the new toy. Hey! My turn. My turn. I want the ball. Drop it. Annabeth ordered. Cerberus's head stopped fighting and looked at her. The ball was wedged between 2 of his teeth like a tiny piece of gum. He made a loud, scary whimper, then dropped the ball, now slimy and bitten nearly in half, at Annabeth's feet. Good boy. She picked up the ball, ignoring the monster spit all over it. She turned toward us. Go now. Easy death line, it's faster, Percy said, but, now. She ordered, in the same tone she was using on the dog. Grover and Percy inched forward warily and Cerberus started to growl. Hey, where do you think you are going? Stay. Annabeth ordered the monster. If you want the ball, stay. Cerberus whimpered, but he stayed where he was. Okay, just don't take the ball away. I want the ball. We have not played with a ball in a long time. What about you? Percy asked Annabeth as they passed her, never noticing Naruto was just standing there. I know what I'm doing, Percy, she muttered. At least, I'm pretty sure. As soon as the panic-stricken Percy and Grover made their way to the other side of the giant dog by going under him, they noticed that Naruto was still behind Annabeth. Annabeth said, good dog. Though she knew there was no room for another trick. Naruto grabbed the ball from Annabeth's hand, making the giant dog turn all 3 of its heads to the boy. Annabeth, go. He said with a grin. Just looking at her friend, she knew there was no winning with him, so she obeyed and quickly made her way to the other 2 boys. Cerberus stared down at Naruto for a while, which made his friend sweat. A moment later, Naruto smiled softly. Hey boy, want to play? Cerberus barked happily. Yes, play with us. No one ever plays with us. Throw the ball to us already. Naruto smirked before he made several shadow clones. The ball was then thrown to one of the head. Cerberus was barking happily as the clones all jumped around and played with it. Naruto smiled at the nice scene before he made his way to his friends unnoticed. Whoa, Percy said with a shocked face as he looked from Annabeth to Naruto. How did you guys do that? Obedience school, Annabeth said with some tears in her eyes surprisingly. When I was little, at my dad's house, we had a Doberman. Well, I went with my gut. Naruto said with a shrug as if it was no big deal. Annabeth was annoyed, unable to understand that someone would just go like that without a plan. Never mind that, Grover said as he tugged on Percy's shirt. Come on. Grover and Percy pushed through the metal detector, which immediately screamed and set off flashing red lights. Unauthorized possessions. Magic detected. That made Cerberus look at them and bark before one of the clones got his attention again. Hey! What's going on? Who care, let's keep playing before these guys leave or something. My turn. My turn. Throw it to me next. They burst through the easy death gate, which started even more alarms blaring, and raced into the underworld. A few minutes later, the 4 were hiding, out of breath, in the rotten trunk of an immense black tree as security ghouls ran past, yelling for backup from the Furies. Grover murmured, well, Percy, what have we learned today? That three-headed dogs prefer red rubber balls over sticks. No, Grover told him. We've learned that your plans really, really bite. Again I say Percy should never make any more plans. Ever. Naruto said. Screw you, Naruto. Muttered Percy, annoyed, before they started to make their way deeper into the underworld. Oh, make Cerberus's playtime. Cerberus was having the time of his life as the shadow clones were throwing the ball around and to him. Some clones were passing it to themselves around him, and he would give chase before they throw it high up for him to catch. Around him though, action was being taken. Ghouls were running searching for the intruders, while the dead coming into the underworld did not seem to notice. One clone noticed the Furies flying past, no doubt going after the boss and his friends. The clone smirked and got an idea. Hey CRB, fetch. He shouted before he threw the ball. The giant and killer dog watched the ball fly before he went after it. The ball hit one of the Fury in the head and it bounced back and landed into another one's hands. They stopped and looked at it confused. They did not see the huge shadow above them getting bigger. Cerberus slammed down onto them with so much force the ball sprang up and one of the heads caught it. The clones cheers and jumped onto him and started to scratch him as best they could in different places, like the ears of each of his heads and part of his neck. Cerberus chose the ball before another head took it for his turn, as they were getting scratched in many good places. They were even getting the underside of his belly somehow, even when he was laying on it. Chapter 20, Bang, they tell you what it's all about. They had been running through the underworld for a while now. When they rounded a corner, the four of them stopped to gawk at the fields of asphodel. Imagine the largest concert crowd you've ever seen, a football field packed with 1 million fans. Now imagine a field 1 million times that big, packed with people, and imagine the electricity had gone out, and there was no noise, no light, no beach ball bouncing around over the crowd. Something tragic has happened backstage. Whispering masses of people are just milling around in the shadows, waiting for a concert that will never start. If you can picture that, you have a pretty good idea what the fields of asphodel looked like. The black grass had been trampled by eons of dead feet. A warm, moist wind blew like the breath of a swamp. Black trees, or poplars as Grover had told them, grew in clumps here and there. The cavern ceiling was so high above them it might have been a bank of storm clouds, except for the stalactites, which glowed faint gray and looked wickedly pointed. They really hoped that the sharp stones did not fall on them as they made their through. Of course, some had already fallen. The dead didn't really have to worry about them. They tried to blend into the crowd, keeping an eye out for security ghouls. Percy couldn't help looking for familiar faces among the spirits of asphodel, but the dead are hard to look at. Their faces shimmer. They all look slightly angry or confused. They came up to them and spoke, but their voices sound like chatter, like bats twittering. Once they realized the four can't understand them, they frowned and moved away. Grover realized that the dead weren't scary, they were just sad. They crept along, following the line of new arrivals that snaked from the main gates toward a black-tented pavilion with a banner that read, "Judgments for Elysium and Eternal Damnation. Welcome, newly deceased." Out the back of the tent came two much smaller lines. To the left, spirits flanked by security ghouls were marched down a rocky path toward the fields of punishment, which glowed and smoked in the distance, a vast, cracked wasteland with rivers of lava and minefields and miles of barbed wire separating the different torture areas. Even from far away, they could see people being chased by hellhounds, burned at the stake, forced to run naked through cactus patches or listen to opera music. They could just make out a tiny hill, with the ant-sized figure of Sisyphus struggling to move his boulder to the top. There were other things too, much worse, that just scared the living crap out of the kids. The line coming from the right side of the Judgment Pavilion was much better. This one led down toward a small valley surrounded by walls, a gated community, which seemed to be the only happy part of the underworld. Beyond the security gate were neighborhoods of beautiful houses from every time period in history, Roman villas and medieval castles and Victorian mansions. Silver and gold flowers bloomed on the lawns. The grass rippled in rainbow colors. They could hear laughter and smell barbecue cooking. Elysium. In the middle of that valley was a glittering blue lake, with 3 small islands like a vacation resort in the Bahamas. The Isles of the Blessed, for people who had chosen to be reborn 3 times, and 3 times achieved Elysium. That's what it's all about, Annabeth said, looking to the boys who were eyeing the place with happy faces. That's the place for heroes. Naruto gazed out towards it. He wondered about the different heroes and how many people he knew that died that would have went there. Haku, if anyone deserves to go there it was you. They walked in silence as they walked on forward and heard the familiar screeching up above them. They looked up to see the all too familiar forms of the Furies however over a dark castle a little bit further in the distance. It would not take them long to get over there and they were all now beginning to feel a little nervous. I suppose it's too late to turn back, Grover said wistfully. Just a tad, Naruto added. We'll be okay. Percy said as he tried to sound confident. Maybe we should search some of the other places first, Grover suggested. Like, Elysium, for instance. Come on goat boy, Annabeth said as she grabbed Grover's arm. However when she did the small wings on Grover's shoes suddenly shot out and began flapping around like crazy. They began to move Grover away from Annabeth in another direction. Gee man, what are you doing? Naruto asked as his friend looked like he was struggling to control his legs. Grover, Annabeth chided. Stop messing around. But I didn't, he yelped again. The shoes suddenly lifted off the ground and began moving at a faster pace away from the group. Maya! He yelled, but the magic word seemed to have no effect. Maya, already. 911. Help! We do not need this right now. Naruto shouted. Grover! Untie the shoes! Annabeth cried as they chased after him. It was a smart idea, but it's not so easy when your shoes are pulling you along feet first at full speed. Grover tried to sit up, but he couldn't get close to the laces. They kept after him, trying to keep him in sight as he ripped between the legs of spirits who chattered at him in annoyance. It seemed that Grover was going to barrel straight through the gates of Hades's palace, but his shoes veered sharply to the right and dragged him in the opposite direction. Now where is he going? Naruto asked. The slope got steeper. Grover picked up speed. While Annabeth and Percy had to sprint up the hill, Naruto was not having any trouble as he was ninja jumping up the whole way. The cavern walls narrowed on either side, to which they noticed that they had entered a tunnel of some sort. No black grass or trees now, just rock underfoot, and the dim light of the stalactites above. Grover! Percy yelled, his voice echoing. Hold on to something. What? The goat boy yelled back. He was grabbing at gravel, but there was nothing big enough to slow him down. The tunnel got darker and colder. The hairs on their arms bristled. It smelled evil down here and that brought unhappy images to their eyes. Percy's eyes widened when he saw what was up ahead and stopped dead in his tracks. The ninja saw this too and almost tripped at what he saw. The tunnel widened into a huge dark cavern, and in the middle was a chasm the size of a city block. Grover was sliding straight toward the edge. Come on, Percy! Annabeth yelled, tugging at his wrist. But that's, I know! She shouted. The place you two described in your dreams. But Grover's going to fall if we don't catch him. She was right, of course. Grover's predicament got the boy moving again. He was yelling, clawing at the ground, but the winged shoes kept dragging him toward the pit, and it didn't look like we could possibly get to him in time. What saved him were his hooves. The flying sneakers had always been a loose fit on him, and finally Grover hit a big rock and the left shoe came flying off. It sped into the darkness, down into the chasm. The right shoe kept tugging him along, but not as fast. Grover was able to slow himself down by grabbing onto the big rock and using it like an anchor. That was when Naruto had enough. Now that Grover was staying still he got his bow out and fired an arrow. It hit one of the wings on the shoe and severed it. The shoe was finally able to free itself from Grover's hoof and flew lopsided after it twin. Should have done that in the first place. Naruto growled as he puts his bow away. Percy and Annabeth bent over and held their knees, exhausted from their chase. Grover was scratched up pretty bad. His hands were bleeding. His eyes had gone slit-pupilled, goat style, the way they did whenever he was terrified. I don't know how, he panted. I didn't. Wait. Listen. Percy said, getting back up, even though his legs felt like lead and his backpack felt like someone had put a bunch of rocks in it. The boy heard something, a deep whisper in the darkness. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he began to hear it as well. Another few seconds, and Annabeth said, Percy, this place. However, Percy shushed her, trying to figure out what the noise was. The sound was getting louder, a muttering, evil voice from far, far below us. Coming from the pit. Grover sat up. What's that noise? Annabeth heard it too, now. They could see it as her eyes widened. Tartarus. The entrance to Tartarus. Percy uncapped his sword, ready for anything that came their way as Naruto drew Hunter's Moon. At the reveal of the swords, the voice hesitated for a moment before resuming it, chanting. The words that were being spoken seemed to be very old, a lot older than Greek. Magic. Percy murmured. We have to get out of here, Annabeth said. Yeah, I agree. Naruto replied, I don't want to deal with whatever is coming for us. They dragged Grover to his hooves and started back up the tunnel. For some reason, Percy was having a very hard time. He was getting more tired and his backpack seemed to be getting heavier. The voice got louder and angrier behind them, so they ran for it. Not a moment too soon. A cold blast of wind pulled at their backs, as if the entire pit were inhaling. For a terrifying moment, they lost their footing and felt like were being dragged in. If they'd been any closer to the edge, they would have been sucked in. They kept struggling forward, and finally reached the top of the tunnel, where the cavern widened out into the fields of asphodel. The wind died. A wail of outrage echoed from deep in the tunnel. Something was not happy they'd gotten away. What was that? Grover panted, when they had collapsed in the relative safety of a black poplar grove. One of Hades's pets. No, Naruto said as he looked back at the path they had just escaped from. It wasn't. It seemed a lot worse. Percy capped his sword and put the pen back in his pocket. Let's keep going. Percy looked at Grover. Can you walk? The poor guy swallowed. Yeah, sure. I never liked those shoes, anyway. He tried to sound brave about it, but he was trembling as badly as Annabeth and Percy were. Naruto was scared too, but he wouldn't show it. Whatever was in that pit felt worse than anything Naruto has felt before. It was unspeakably old and powerful. Even Echidna hadn't given them that feeling. Turning their backs to the pit, they were almost relieved to be going to Hades' palace. Almost. The Furies circled the parapets, high in the gloom. The outer walls of the fortress glittered black, and the 2-story-tall bronze gates stood wide open. Up close, they saw that the engravings on the gates were scenes of death. Some were from modern times, an atomic bomb exploding over a city, a trench filled with gas mask-wearing soldiers, a line of African famine victims waiting with empty bowls, but all of them looked as if they'd been etched into the bronze thousands of years ago. Percy wondered if these were prophecies come true. Inside the courtyard was the strangest garden. Multicolored mushrooms, poisonous shrubs, and weird luminous plants grew without sunlight. Precious jewels made up for the lack of flowers, piles of rubies as big as my fist, clumps of raw diamonds. Standing here and there like frozen party guests were Medusa's garden statues, petrified children, satyrs, and centaurs, all smiling grotesquely. In the center of the garden was an orchard of pomegranate trees, their orange blooms neon bright in the dark. The Garden of Persephone, Annabeth said. Keep walking. So this is Great Granny's garden. Naruto said as he looked around. Could do without the statues though. They kept moving at Annabeth's orders. Of course they understood why they needed to leave. The tart smell of those pomegranates was almost overwhelming. They wanted to grab a bit to eat, but they knew the story of Persephone. One bite of underworld food, and they would never be able to leave. Percy pulled Grover away to keep him from picking a big juicy one. They walked up the steps of the palace, between black columns, through a black marble portico, and into the house of Hades. The entry hall had a polished bronze floor, which seemed to boil in the reflected torchlight. There was no ceiling, just the cavern roof, far above. Which made sense, since there was not forgiving rain down here. Every side doorway was guarded by a skeleton in military gear. Some wore Greek armor, some British redcoat uniforms, which Naruto resisted the urge to mess with like tourists do, some camouflage with tattered American flags on the shoulders. They carried spears or muskets or M16s. None of them bothered the four, but their hollow eye sockets followed them as the kids walked down the hall, toward the big set of doors at the opposite end. 2 U.S. Marine skeletons guarded the doors. They grinned down at them, rocket-propelled grenade launchers held across their chests. You know, Grover mumbled, I bet Hades doesn't have trouble with door-to-door salesmen. You make it sound like one was crazy enough to even try and sell anything here. Naruto said. Come on, let's just get in there. She said, not noticing Percy's discomfort because of his really heavy backpack. The boy wanted to see what had made his backpack feel like someone had put a bowling ball in it, but now was not the time. "Well, guys," Percy said. "I suppose we should knock." A hot wind blew down the corridor, and the doors swung open. The guards stepped aside. "I guess that means entrez vous," Annabeth said. Sighing, Naruto muttered, "Let's get this over with." Truth be told, he was nervous, not of where they were or not what they were doing, but who they were to meet. Hade was the husband of his great-grandmother, and she had a half-blood child. He heard stories about the spouse of those that have half-bloods aren't known for treating them well. Maybe it was just Hera, but he was sure that Hade might kill him just for being related to his wife. They stepped inside the giant hall, and the first thing they all noticed was the big marble-like throne that looked like it was combined with bones and skeletons. At the end of the hall they noticed it first because the throne was currently occupied. All four breathing hitched. No doubt the man they were staring at was a god. Just by looking at him, you could see this god-like aura around him that demanded respect. He was at least 10 feet tall and dressed in black silk robes and a crown of braided gold. His skin was albino white, his hair shoulder length and jet black. He wasn't bulked up like Ares, but he radiated power. He lounged on his throne of fused human bones, waiting like a dangerous predator. "You are brave to come here, son of Poseidon and friends," he said in an oily voice that echoed through the hall. "After what you have done to me, very brave indeed. Or perhaps you are simply very foolish. Lord and uncle, I come with 2 requests." Hades raised his eyebrows at that. "Only 2 requests?" Hades said. "Arrogant child. As if you have not already taken enough. Speak, then. It amuses me not to strike you dead yet." Naruto nervously glanced at the empty, smaller throne next to Hades's. It was shaped like a black flower, gilded with gold. He wished Granny Persephone were here. He recalled something in the myths about how she could calm her husband's moods. But it was summer. Of course, Persephone would be above in the world of light with her mother, the goddess of agriculture, Demeter. Her visits, not the tilt of the planet, create the seasons. Hades then eyed Naruto as if looking at a puzzle. "Come forward, boy," he ordered, although not in the same tone as before. Naruto did more to hopefully get the bolt and get out of here. Hade looked at him before he held up his hand at Naruto. Naruto was worried he was about to do something to him when he noticed that his seal was glowing right through his shirt. "Ah, I thought I recognized that seal." "Yes, that seal was made by my old friend Shinigami." Naruto saw shocked, and he was not the only one. "You know the Shinigami? Who is Shinigami?" Annabeth asked, although she wondered what was this seal and why Naruto had it on him. "He is the god of death in my world." Naruto answered, "He is what Hades is to you guys." Hades snorted, "Finally a half-blood that knows more than our tales." "Yes, the boy tells the truth. You see, I visited the elemental nations before and met my old friend. We saw a lot of ourselves in each other and we became, drinking buddies, I guess you can call it. He saw each other as equals unlike our fellow gods. This seal which holds a great power is his design. I see that your mother added some of her power to strengthen it." He noticed the nervous look Naruto had and said, "Relax, son of Artemis. If I strike you down it would be of something else of your doing besides being related to my wife. Do not confuse me for my sister, I have no problem of any half-blood she has, even if they are far and few in between." "Really?" Naruto could not help but ask. Hades nodded, "Yes, she is civil, most of the time, to any of my children when they were alive, so I would do the same to her. Beside, you are more of her grandchild than her son in my eyes." Percy gulped, they were getting off track. "Lord Hades," he said, "look, sir, there can't be a war among the gods. It would be bad. Really bad," Grover added helpfully. "And we don't want innocent people to get hurt because of it," Naruto added as well as he back up to join his friends. "Return Zeus's master bolt to me," Percy said. "Please, sir. Let me carry it to Olympus." Hades's eyes grew dangerously bright. "You dare keep up this pretense, after what you have done?" Uncle," Percy said. "You keep saying, after what you've done. What exactly have I done?" The throne room shook with a tremor so strong, they probably felt it upstairs in Los Angeles. Debris fell from the cavern ceiling. Doors burst open all along the walls, and skeletal warriors marched in, hundreds of them, from every time period and nation in Western civilization. They lined the perimeter of the room, blocking the exits. Hades bellowed, "Do you think I want war, godling? You're the Lord of the Dead. Would you not want to expand your kingdom?" Annabeth said as Hades scoffed at the answer and crossed his arms like an angry child. "A typical thing for my brothers to say. Do you think I need more subjects? Did you not see the sprawl of the asphodel fields? Well, now that you mention it," started Naruto, but Hades went on, "have you any idea how much my kingdom has swollen in this past century alone, how many subdivisions I've had to open? More security ghouls," he moaned. "Traffic problems at the Judgment Pavilion. Double overtime for the staff. I used to be a rich god, Percy Jackson. I control all the precious metals under the earth. But my expenses. Oh, Sharon wants a pay rise," Percy said before Naruto could stop him. "Don't get me started on Sharon," Hades yelled. "He's been impossible ever since he discovered Italian suits. Problems everywhere and I've got to handle all of them personally. The commute time alone from the palace to the gates is enough to drive me insane. And the dead just keep arriving. No, godling. I need no help getting subjects. I did not ask for this war. But you took Zeus's master bolt. Lies." More rumbling. Hades rose from his throne, towering to the height of a football goalpost. "Your father may fool Zeus, boy, but I am not so stupid. I see his plan. His plan? You were the thief on the winter solstice," he said. "Your father thought to keep you his little secret. He directed you into the throne room on Olympus, you took the master bolt and my helm. Had I not sent my fury to discover you at Yancy Academy, Poseidon might have succeeded in hiding his scheme to start a war. But now you have been forced into the open. You will be exposed as Poseidon's thief, and I will have my helm back." "Hold on, time out," cried Naruto. "You are missing your symbol of power. Why weren't we told of this? We were sent here to look for the bolt. We never heard of your helm stolen. Do not play innocent with me, girl. You and the satyr have been helping this hero, coming here to threaten me in Poseidon's name, no doubt, to bring me an ultimatum. Does Poseidon think I can be blackmailed into supporting him?" "No," Percy said. "Poseidon didn't, I didn't. I have said nothing of the helm's disappearance," Hades snarled, "because I had no illusions that anyone on Olympus would offer me the slightest justice, the slightest help. I can ill afford for word to get out that my most powerful weapon of fear is missing. So I searched for you myself, and when it was clear you were coming to me to deliver your threat, I did not try to stop you. You didn't try to stop us. But, return my helmet now, or I will stop death," Hades threatened. "That is my counter-proposal. I will open the earth and have the dead pour back into the world. I will make your lands a nightmare. And you, Percy Jackson, your skeleton will lead my army out of Hades." The skeletal soldiers all took one step forward, making their weapons ready. At this point, Percy did not look terrified, which shocked Naruto, but looked very angry. "You're as bad as Zeus," he said. "You think I stole from you? That's why you sent the Furies after me." "Of course," Hades said. "And the other monsters?" Hades curled his lip. "I had nothing to do with them. I wanted no quick death for you. I wanted you brought before me alive so you might face every torture in the fields of punishment. Why do you think I let you enter my kingdom so easily?" "Easily?" Both Naruto and Percy blinked. "Return my property. But I don't have your helm. I came for the Master Bolt, which you already possess," Hades shouted. "You came here with it, little fool, thinking you could threaten me. But I didn't," cried Percy. "Lord Hades, we were sent here because we were pointed towards you. You were our lead. We do not have either the helm or the bolt." Naruto cried out but got his swords ready as the guards came closer. "Open your pack, then," Hades commanded, and Percy felt dread. Percy slung it off his shoulder and unzipped it. Inside was a 2-foot-long metal cylinder, spiked on both ends, humming with energy. "Oh man, tell me that isn't what I think it is," Naruto asked nervously. "Percy," Annabeth said. "How? I don't know. I don't understand." "You heroes are always the same," Hades said. "Your pride makes you foolish, thinking you could bring such a weapon before me. I did not ask for Zeus's master bolt, but since it is here, you will yield it to me. I am sure it will make an excellent bargaining tool. And now, my helm. Where is it?" While Percy was having a panic attack, Naruto looked at the bolt to the backpack. If it was there the whole time and they got that pack from that son of a bitch, Naruto shouted, getting everyone's attention. Naruto, what? Annabeth started before Naruto went on. We have been tricked. We thought Hades would get something from a war like this, but there is one other what would really gain something. The god of war himself. He stole the bolt, he got Poseidon to look at Hades, and he gave us that backpack when he helped him. Ares was behind this all. Lord Hades, wait, Percy said, hoping to fix this. This is all a mistake. A mistake? Hades roared. The skeletons aimed their weapons. From high above, there was a fluttering of leathery wings, and the three Furies swooped down to perch on the back of their master's throne. The one with Mrs. Dodds's face grinned at Percy eagerly and flicked her whip. There is no mistake, Hades said. I know why you have come, I know the real reason you brought the bolt. You came to bargain for her. Hades loosed a ball of gold fire from his palm. It exploded in front of the water boy, and what was revealed was his mother, frozen in time. She looked like she had when the Minotaur caught her and tried to squeeze her to death. Yes, Hades said with satisfaction. I took her. I knew, Percy Jackson, that you would come to bargain with me eventually. Return my helm, and perhaps I will let her go. She is not dead, you know. Not yet. But if you displease me, that will change. Percy knew he did not have the Helm of Darkness, and neither did his friends, that much he knew. The pearls in his pocket caught his attention, and he knew they had to use them. They were so not ready for this place. Ah, the pearls, Hades said, which made the water boy's blood freeze. Yes, my brother and his little tricks. Bring them forth, Percy Jackson. Like he was hypnotized, Percy took them out. Only 4, Hades said. What a shame. You do realize each only protects a single person. Try to take your mother, then, little godling. And which of your friends will you leave behind to spend eternity with me? Go on. Choose. Or give me the backpack and accept my terms. We were tricked, Pecky told them as their faces looked very grim. Set up. Yes, but why? Annabeth asked. And the voice in the pit. I don't know yet, Percy said. But I intend to ask. Decide, boy. Hades yelled before Naruto could talk again. Percy. Grover put his hand on my shoulder. You can't give him the bolt. I know that. Leave me here, he said. Use the 4th pearl on your mom. Or you can leave me here. Naruto offered. No, I'm a satyr, Grover said. We don't have souls like humans do. He can torture me until I die, but he won't get me forever. I'll just be reincarnated as a flower or something. It's the best way. No. Annabeth drew her bronze knife. You guys go on. Grover, you have to protect Percy. You have to get your searcher's license and start your quest for Pan. Naruto also has to protect him because he is good at it. Get his mom out of here. I'll cover you. I plan to go down fighting. No way, Grover said. I'm staying behind. Think again, goat boy, Annabeth said. Hey, I am not leaving all the glory to you guys. Naruto said. Stop it, all of you. Percy shouted. They have been with him for so long and he was not going to abandon them. He remembered Grover dive-bombing Medusa in the statue garden and Annabeth and Naruto working together to save them from Cerberus. They had survived Hephaestus's Waterland ride where Naruto made that show, the St. Louis Arch, the Lotus Casino. He had spent the whole way, fretting that one of them would betray him, but he knew his friends wouldn't do that. They had done nothing but save him, and now it was his turn. Naruto saw the look in the boy's eyes and smiled sadly. He could not help but remember his sensei's words. Those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades and friends are worse than that. Kakashi sensei would be proud. I know what to do, Percy said. Take these. He handed them each a pearl. Annabeth said, but, Percy. Naruto stopped her. Don't, Annabeth. We are needed to stop this war. Don't make him regret it. Percy turned and faced his mother. He desperately wanted to sacrifice himself and use the last pearl on her, but he knew what she would say. She would never allow it. He had to get the bolt back to Olympus and tell Zeus the truth. He and Naruto had to stop the war. She would never forgive him if he saved her instead. He thought about the prophecy made at Half-Blood Hill, which seemed like 1,000,000 years ago. You will fail to save what matters most in the end. I'm sorry, he told her. I'll be back. I'll find a way. The smug look on Hades's face faded. He said, Godling. I'll find your helm, uncle, Percy told him, I'll return it. Remember about Karen's pay raise. Do not defy me, and it wouldn't hurt to play with Cerberus once in a while. He likes red rubber balls. Yeah, a day playing with your dog could really relax ya after all the trouble you are going through. Naruto said in a joking tone before he turned serious. We will find you helm and bring it back. You have my word and I never go back on my word nor my promises. Percy Jackson, you will not. Percy shouted, now, guys. They smashed the pearls at our feet. For a scary moment, nothing happened. Hades yelled, destroy them. The army of skeletons rushed forward, swords out, guns clicking to full automatic. The Furies lunged, their whips bursting into flame. Just as the skeletons opened fire, the pearl fragments at their feet exploded with a burst of green light and a gust of fresh sea wind. They were each encased in a milky white sphere, which was starting to float off the ground. Spears and bullets sparked harmlessly off the pearl bubbles as we floated up. Hades yelled with such rage, the entire fortress shook and the son of Poseidon knew it was not going to be a peaceful night in L.A. Look up. Grover yelled. We're going to crash. Looking up they were nearing the sharp stalactites and they felt like the bubbles were going to pop and they were be skewered. How do you control these things? Annabeth shouted. I don't think you do. Percy shouted back. They screamed as the bubbles slammed into the ceiling and darkness. Naruto wondered if they were dead but they couldn't be as he finally noticed where they were. They were in the ocean. They continue up till they broke the surface with a big wave where the bubbles popped. They were in the middle of the Santa Monica Bay, knocking a surfer off his board with an indignant, dude. From the wave. They made their way over to a buoy, Percy helped Annabeth and Naruto helped Grover. A curious shark was circling them, a great white about 11 feet long. Percy scowled and said, beat it. The shark turned and raced away. The surfer screamed something about bad mushrooms and paddled away from them as fast as he could. In the distance, Los Angeles was on fire, plumes of smoke rising from neighborhoods all over the city. There had been an earthquake, all right, and it was Hades's fault. He was probably sending an army of the dead after the water boy right now. They didn't have to look at a clock to see it was the last day and they needed to talk to Zeus, who was on the other side of the continent, before a war started. Whoa, what a rush. Commented Naruto before he added, we got to do that again sometime. Well, not the underworld part but that pearl ride was cool. The other groaned at that idea. Oh make Naruto prank and trouble for Zeus. Hera, queen of the gods, was walking around looking for her husband. There was only one day till the son of Poseidon and his group was to get back with the Master Bolt. She had not seen her husband around lately and she hoped he was not doing something stupid. She found Zeus at his desk in his study, hunchover reading something. She walked closer and notices a letter and an open package on the desk. She picked it up and read, hope this keeps you entertained until your doomsday toy is returned. It might even help get some idea for your wife. It wasn't signed and Hera wondered what her husband could have gotten. She peeked over his shoulder, he still did not notice she was in the room, and read what he was reading. Zeus felt a shiver go down his spine as a mass amount of killing intent appeared behind him. He slowly turned and saw Hera behind him with a fierce glare and she was glowing. What is that? She asked with anger behind each word. Now Zeus was many things but he was not stupid, most of the time. He knew he was forced to do what any self-respecting man would do when facing his angry wife, beg for mercy and pray she still leaves you as a man. That's it for part 6. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.